Hey there. This is Dr. Jeff Snyder. It is 9 o'clock right now, and we are starting a program right now on the 5 things that we're going to be teaching here about, or I should say numerous things maybe, that I'll be teaching here about the spine and about how to stay healthy, how to keep your spine healthy, how to reduce stress, how to reduce pain, how to improve motion to your spine. So first thing is, before we get started, I want to make sure that people, if you are watching this right now and you think that somebody, that one of your friends or family members should be watching this to learn to improve their spinal health, let's make sure that you get them onto this program right now. And it simply means that you go onto the page here and you hit like, or for that matter, you hit share, which is even more important. You hit share and you can tag some of your friends, your family in it, so that way they can jump on here and benefit as well. So if you're on here and you're watching it as you're going along and you're learning something, if you find that it was intriguing to you, by all means, just hit the thumbs up and make sure that you're able to, that you're letting me know that, that you're enjoying watching this so far. Also, if you're watching it, make sure that that you may want to even take some notes. So anyway, I want to start off here by giving you some brief information here, something that's going to be helpful for you. But before I get started, I want to let you know that at the end of this program here, for anybody that has never ventured into our office yet, I'm going to be giving an opportunity to come into the office and have an evaluation done in our office if you are interested in doing that. And we're going to be giving a special gift to those that are in attendance today. And so wanted to first start off with a little bit of spinal anatomy, because this is actually very interesting to see if you've never seen it before. And forgive me, because I'm going to use my phone as the means of being able to show this here. So hopefully you can see this. Okay, so you see the spinal, you see the picture right there. And I want to show you what it looks like, how the spine moves. And this is really a pretty amazing video demonstration. So you can see here the flexibility in the spine, how it moves. Okay, and it's a pretty decent demo. So you can see how it moves like that in the neck. And then the rotation that occurs as well. You notice that when you turn your head one side, the spine kind of rotates the other direction. So that's motion in the spine. Pretty cool. And so the spinal anatomy, you have 7 vertebrae in the neck, you have 12 in the mid-back, and you have 5 usually in the low back, and then you have your sacrum below that, which has segments as well. Some debate in saying that the sacrum does not have segments that move. Some say the segments do move some. But the fact is, you have all these vertebrae. When they flex, they move, and they need to keep you moving. They need to keep you having some agility. And the fact is that, unfortunately, you will have possibilities for having misalignments where the spine may move out of place. So we want to make sure that we can eliminate, or I should say reduce, the possibility of having spinal problems. And so there are some things here that we want to consider. And the things that we want to consider, and some of this you might be familiar with to a degree. And if you've come to our office, you may actually be familiar with all of these things that I'm going to talk about here. But it will be a good reiteration. I won't be dragging this out very long tonight because I am getting a little tired myself from a long day. But I want to share with you some of the ideas that I had in mind for tonight. Besides the fact that I just showed a little bit of the spinal anatomy, we're going to talk about here ergonomics. And what is ergonomics? It's basically where the spine, ergonomics is, I'm jumping ahead of myself here. Ergonomics is where the spine itself has to be maintained in a proper posture. And so spinal ergonomics means that you're going to be sitting in a way where you have upright posture, neutral posture. And in fact, when you're in front of a computer or you're doing anything for that matter, you want to maintain proper positioning. So if you are on the phone, this would not be good ergonomics or good positioning. But if you were on the phone like this, or you're using a headset such as I might be using here right now, and hopefully you're hearing me clearly on this right now, then that would be good ergonomics. If you're sitting in front of a computer, and doing work, and you have your computer sitting on a coffee table to do your work, that would not be good ergonomics. But if you sat your computer on a card table and perhaps connected it via smart TV to your large TV that's on the wall, and you kept your posture upright more, that would be good ergonomics. And so how do we conduct our lives generally with these phones and with computers or tablets? We have a tendency to look downward like this. And how does that really help our overall posture? It's not really good. So if you've ever experienced using one of these before and you feel that is you, do me a favor, give me a thumbs up so I understand that you understand what I'm talking about. Using these here, head down, putting pressure on the neck, not a good thing. So how do you change that around? What you do is you hold the phone upright, okay? Hold it upright a little bit. And when you do so, you can see how my posture just changed from there, being more upright. So we're taking the tension off the neck by doing so, and reducing stress to the spine as a whole by doing so. So again, holding it upright, good. Bringing it down like that, not so good. And so that's one thing. On tablets, same thing. We tend to hold our tablets downward like this, puts a lot of pressure on our neck. And by the way, it's called text neck, or I like to call it tech neck, because tech neck is all about the technologies that we use, but we're always looking down at these technologies. Doesn't really help. And so we're going to suggest that you hold the tablet upright, or you hold the phone more upright, or you place your laptop computer in a place where you're able to, and again, if you're using it for a short period of time, it's not so important. But if you're on there for a great length of time, if you're on there for, say, a few hours doing some work, then you want to have an external monitor hooked into that laptop. But if you're working with a regular computer where you have a regular monitor, then what you would really want to do is to make sure that that what you do is you let's see here. I'll answer your question in just a second here, Max. So you want to make sure that you have the positioning of the monitor high enough so that way it takes attention off the neck. In other words, you want to be looking upright at that monitor. All right. So I'm going to answer your question, as I said, Max, in just a few, but I want to just address a few more things here for the program itself. And again, if you're just joining us here, want to make sure that if you think this is great information to start off, if you're listening and you think that somebody else should be listening with you, just hit that share button down on your computer or on your phone, and just make sure that that you send it off to somebody else to say, then tell them to join us here tonight. So looking at the spine again, ergonomics important, making sure your posture's upright is important. But how would you know if you had a problem with your spine to begin with? I'm going to give you a real basic way of knowing this. It's very, very simple. And all you need to do is bring yourself through movement. And so movement is really important for the spine, but sometimes limited movement in the spine doesn't allow for proper nerve flow, proper conduction of those nerves from the brain going down through the body. And so we're just going to talk about the neck area here to start off. And so if you just turn your head to one side or the other side, if you're not getting full movement, you're going to feel the potential. You're going to feel that you're locked up. So just to demonstrate for you, if I bring my head to the side here and I look over here, I can look over my shoulder. Okay, that's the idea. You want to be able to look over your shoulder and say, I can see a certain part. Now I'm going to just, fake it out for a moment and say, oh, what if I can't quite get as far over on this side here? You can kind of see that I'm not getting as far over. Well, I'm not going to even be able to see as far over my shoulder. And so if you are not able to see over one shoulder versus the other shoulder, or if you're pretty aware and just aware of the fact that you're turning your head, you're not getting that full movement, that may be a spinal problem, and you don't want to overlook that. So that's one type of movement you can look at. The other type of movement you can look at is lateral flexion. So if you're going lateral to one side, and then you compare it to the other side, you go, oh, I can't quite get that motion, the same motion in there. Or if you feel something sticking at you in your neck, or you feel like the muscles are pulling more from one side to the other side, chances are you're going to be having some issues in that spine. And to ignore it or to simply take a pain med is not really going to be the solution to the problem. So last movements here are simply flexion, if you feel some tension coming on your neck up here, or if you go extension and you feel it kind of sticking again, you're going, oh man, I feel it more on that one side than the other side, or I just feel it tight right in the back here. That's usually, again, a nice sign, a decent sign that you do have a problem with your neck. And so that is one way to tell whether or not you have an issue with your spine. It's to stress your spine. Consider the idea that if you were driving your vehicle and you were just driving it down the side road to go over to the supermarket, chances are you would not notice if you had a front end misalignment at that point. You would have to take your car onto the highway. In other words, you have to get it up to speed. You have to pick up speed to stress your car to notice that the front end is shimmying, whereas at lower speeds, not so much. Well, if you're in neutral, you're not going to notice spinal issues. If you start stressing it by turning your head far, you'll notice that that end range will be affected, okay? So, okay, so Max, you have a question here. If you're still on here, Max, just give me a thumbs up so I know you're still listening. I'm going to address this question here right now anyway. So, Max, you had a question here. You said, what is your feeling on epidurals? Okay, so we're talking about spinal epidurals. Spinal epidurals, no question, they can help you regarding pain, but they don't necessarily, hey, thanks, Max. They don't necessarily address the underlying issues. A spinal epidural will help in some cases to reduce pain because it reduces inflammation. But depending upon the severity of the spinal problem, I would have to say that would be the determinant on whether or not a spinal epidural will be appropriate or not. And that would not be something that I would specifically comment on without knowing the severity of the spinal issue. If this is you we're talking about, by all means, feel free to private message me and we can talk about this a little bit further, and we can arrange for a consult and just talk about that further. But as far as the long-term use for using a spinal epidural, again, if we're talking about pain issues and your pain goes away and that's your goal, then perhaps that would be valuable. However, a spinal epidural in itself is not going to address the underlying reason why you're needing the epidural in the first place. Meaning that if you have a spinal problem and it's causing you pain, you may go to your medical doctor or to a neurologist or an orthopedist who might suggest that you get an epidural. And if you reduce the pain, well, it's sort of like taking the battery out of the smoke detector inside the building, and then because you simply don't like the sound of the smoke of the shrieking of that smoke detector. And so you kind of get what I'm saying here, I'm sure. Where if you take the battery out of that smoke detector, what happens in the house if you simply ignore what's going on? You get a raging fire, and you don't want that. Nobody wants that. So we want to make sure that we address the underlying issue, not just simply the pain itself. So there's no question. As a human being, I care about the pain that people have, but I want to help to address the underlying issues, not just simply treat the pain itself. And so you can talk about that a little bit more, about the ins and outs of spinal epidurals. So the range of motion, as I mentioned before, getting back to this here, we talked about the neck. The low back range of motion is it's very similar in nature. I'm just going to stand up here so you can see. Range of motion, low back. You bend forward, okay? You bend backwards. When you bend backwards, you want to notice if you're feeling it back here. If you're feeling it back there, that's not going to be obviously a good sign. Same thing too. If you bend sideways, you're going to go side and side. And if you notice when you bend to the side, you feel it more kind of not necessarily on the side, but you feel it more like in the back area. That's also not a good sign. The thing you could do to stress your spine a little further with your neck and your low back is if you turn your head to the side and you extend it slightly backwards, and if you feel it kind of locking up again on that same side where you turned your head, that would not be a good sign. And if you turn your head to the other side here, okay, and the same thing, you go, oh, that side doesn't feel the same way. This side hurts more. This side not so much. Same thing you could do for the low back. You simply go like this, reach down, and you go like this, reach down the back of your leg. Essentially, you're stressing your spine in the same fashion, okay? So that is that's some other range of motion exercises that you can do to check to see if your spine is in a stressed mode or not. So if you go through all these motions and you don't have any tension at all, and you're noticing it feels balanced, that's a good sign. So how to reduce some pain now, doing some specific exercises. I'll tell you something. I wish that I knew how to do this on my computer right now. Trying to be able to switch over to show you the screen. Let's see here. I can't quite figure out how to switch over to screen at this point. There was a way that I could do it prior to, but I can't do it at this point. Okay, so I guess I'm not going to be able to do it. There's a exercise routine that I had that I wanted to share with you. It was a few exercises, but I'm going to just go through them with you in this fashion right now. So stretches here for the neck. If you go from the side view here, moving the head forward a little bit and moving it back, simply brings you through a gliding motion in the neck. That would be one thing to do for an exercise. Now, let's make sure one thing. If you're doing it and you're feeling pain, don't do it anymore. Okay, just stop right then. All right, so the next thing to do, stretching, lateral, a little bit forward. You should feel the stretch coming down the side. And the same thing to the other side, lateral and forward, and you should feel the stretch on the other side. Okay, so any of these stretches that you do, you want to hold them gently in the sense that you don't want to have pain. So it should be somewhere around a 7 out of 10 on terms of the pain scale. You should have a nice stretch, but not necessarily be in pain. And you should hold that stretch for about 10 seconds minimum, maybe up to about 15, 20 seconds or so. And then you want to rinse and repeat, do it again for 2 or 3 cycles. And that's a good time, that's a good process of any kind of stretch that you're going to do. So that's the first, those are 2 decent ones you can do for your neck. Movement, stretch. And this stretch here and the movement like that, you can do that sitting in front of your computer at work. Just make sure you look around and make sure nobody's staring at you when you're doing it. Or perhaps maybe you want people staring at you so you can share with them exactly what I'm sharing with you here. So now with the low back, I'm going to share something with you here, and I'm going to get on my couch and lay back on here so I can show you how to do these. We're looking at the low back. Let me just change the position of my computer slightly, okay? So I'm going to lay down here for a moment to show you. If you're laying down, okay, what you're going to do is cross the leg over like this, and you're going to pull in, just like that, okay? Other leg, and pull in, okay? So you should feel that stretch coming through on the leg, on the glute area a little bit, okay? Should feel really good if you're doing it. And the other stretch to do is simply knees to chest, like that, okay? Now, those are 2 more. Low back, you have for neck. Again, same rules apply there. You're going to hold that stretch there for a count of about 10 to 30 seconds, roughly. 10 to 15 seconds, 10 to 20 seconds, somewhere in there where you feel like you got a decent stretch. And you're not going to go beyond a pain scale of 7 out of 10. Now, lastly, a motion exercise that is great for, again, the whole spine. And I'm going to just kind of bring this down a little bit so you can see. We're going to come into like this, in this motion here. There we go. And we're going to do a cat and a camel motion. And that all simply means you're going to go like this type of movement, like that. Okay? So we are stretching upward and then stretching downward, like that, and letting it just kind of hang. All right? So in that case here, you hold it for about a count of 5 seconds. You're going to go from one movement to the other, 5 seconds up, 5 seconds down. Hey, Debbie. Hopefully you're still on watching, okay? So we have here just a few things. You can go back and watch the video if you haven't already watched. Anybody who's joining us right now. And by all means, share the video because it's going to be helpful for other people to learn some of these things. Spinal anatomy, ergonomics, range of motion, how to check your spine to see if you're having spinal issues, looking at your range of motion, doing these exercises. These are great things. These are all types of things that you want to do here. Now, also, let's see here, strategies to slow down the aging process in your spine. These are some important things to consider as well. Now, so consider this for a moment. Spinal hygiene, spine should age a certain way. If your spine ages prematurely, that's not a good thing. So consider the idea that you're back in the 1700s and you're having your teeth, having problems with your teeth. Well, what are you going to do? You're going to go to probably somebody who would be called a dentist. And you're going to have them look at your teeth, and chances are they're going to say we need to pull those teeth because they're rotten. And this would be in the 1700s. Then, your kids grow up and they become the same age as you are in the 1700s once again, and your child now, who's an adult, has to do the same thing roughly around the same point in his life as you did. And you say, see, told you, this teeth thing, they all fall out when you're 20 years old, when you're 25 years old. So it must be that, this is just a normal thing that happens to all of us as we age. And then all of a sudden the dentists say, perhaps we should teach these people something that would be helpful. And they teach them how to floss and how to brush. And the next thing you know, the teeth are staying in longer and they're not rotting as quickly. And so children now have better teeth than their parents did. Well, we can hope for that for the spine as well. I can only wish that people took the opportunity to take care of their spine the way that they take care of their teeth. Their teeth can help them chew. Their spine, it houses that nervous system, which is what encompasses and takes care of your entire body. And so consider what I mentioned before. It's the stretches that I showed you before. It's the ergonomic tips that I showed you before. In addition to that, you want to make sure you get decent sleep. When you sleep, your body heals well. If you're not getting enough sleep, that's not good. And unfortunately, sometimes when you have pain, sleeping is a difficult task. I can recommend individually to people certain things regarding sleep. Best recommendations based upon what condition you're going through. But I can tell you, though, that in general, sleeping on your stomach is not a good thing. Sleeping on your stomach can put a lot of pressure on your neck as you have your head turned. But there are ways of kind of working around that as well, which I can share with you. Sleeping on your side, best thing to do is use a pillow that keeps your head somewhat perpendicular to your shoulders, so that way you're not all kinked up like that on your side. And then the other thing to do also is to put a pillow between your knees. And so that, again, is if you're laying on your side. If you're laying on your back, you might put a pillow below your knees so that way it bends your knees slightly and takes some tension off your low back. All right, now, you also want to take breaks and get up and move about a little bit. You want to get up and move when you are doing work. If you're sitting at your computer, if you're, for that matter, if you're watching a movie and you're stand up for a moment. If you're at home, stand up and watch and relax a little bit. Take some stretch, get some movement into your body. But if you're at work, take a break every 20 minutes or so. Stand up, just stretch out for 10, 20 seconds. It gets the blood flowing, but it also gets the spine moving, and that's important. So, the last thing to mention is regarding the gift that I had mentioned at the very beginning of this video, but to share with you, a spinal stress examination would be one of the other things to do that you can't really do yourself so easily. But what I mentioned before regarding the movement, if you go through your range of motion and you notice that you feel deficient in movement, if you feel like there's tension on your spine, then perhaps you should be considering the idea of going and having your spine evaluated. Now, if you're watching this video and you're not near our office and you're not sure who to go to, you're not sure where to find a good chiropractor, a doctor of chiropractic in your area that would be best suited for you, I'm happy to help you in trying to find the right one for you. So again, private message me right through this page, and I'll be happy to help you in determining the best course of finding the right chiropractor in your area. If you are local to the area and you are considering the idea of coming into our office and learning a little bit about how and what we might do to help you or to help your family member, understand what we will do when you come in. And so what I'm going to tell you right now is that there is going to be a reason to act quickly at this point. And so I'm going to share with you that anybody who comes into our office and who contacts me and does so before tomorrow evening, today is the 8th, tomorrow is the 9th. So if you contact me before the end of the 9th, 24 hours, contact our office and say, I was watching this video. So I was watching the video that you had on the 8th in the evening, and I'd like to come in. When you do so, you're going to get a 15% discount on the evaluation when you come in. And again, if you're sharing this with somebody, let them know the same thing, that if they act within 24 hours, in other words, tomorrow night by this time, they'll get a 15% discount also on starting care in the office. I think that they should watch the video in its entirety because they'll learn a lot by doing so. But I want to suggest to you that what we're going to do, the value behind that is more important. So we're going to do a foundational screening, a foundational evaluation. We're going to be looking at your feet in relation to your entire spine. Your arches can affect the way that your feet rotate, the way that your knees rotate, the way your hips rotate can affect your entire spine. Your posture, we're going to be evaluating, doing a postural assessment. We'll be doing a motion assessment, sort of like what I just did before, but I'll be doing that with you to evaluate more specifically the deficiencies that you might have. I'm also going to do a palpatory evaluation, which means I'm going to press along your spine. I'm going to feel for areas that are not moving properly. It might also be tender. You'll obviously let me know if that's the case. But we're going to do orthopedic neurologic evaluation in areas that need it as well, which basically helps us to understand the positioning and the motion and the lack of motion within your spine. So we're doing specific spinal orthopedic and neurologic tests to look at that for that purpose. Also, we'll be doing a functional spinal assessment. And not to go into detail about that, but simply we're going to have you laying on the table and doing some other testing that's going to help us to understand the positioning of the various bones within your spine in relation to how the nerves are being affected, if they are being affected at all. After we're finished entirely, doing all of that, I'm going to sit down and look at all that information. And after looking at it carefully and looking at your health history and understanding more about who you are and what you're presenting with during that evaluation, I'm going to give you a doctor's report. I'm going to sit down with you, review with you the exam, help you to understand where things might have come from and why your spine is the way it is today. And then I'm going to help to make some recommendations to help you to steer your spine, steer your health, that is, and your spinal health in the right direction. I look at myself as a co-pilot, not as the pilot to your health. You are the pilot to your health. You're the one that's going to make the decision. You're going to one who's going to decide whether or not you're doing stretches, whether or not you're going to show up for care, whether or not you're going to agree to anything I say. So I'm going to give you recommendations. And what I'll tell you during the recommendation, first of all, is whether or not I can help you. I don't know if I can help you, even at the point when you walk in my office. I have to first do an evaluation to figure out if the problem that you're facing and the problem that you're presenting with is something that is within the scope of what I would be able to help you with. And so that's the first thing. If I can help you, I'll let you know that. If I can't help you, I'll let you know that as well. So I'm also going to let you know an approximation on how long I believe that it's going to take to correct the problem, how long it's going to take to restore your health. So then we'll talk briefly about the cost, because I want to make sure at least you have a ballpark idea as to what the overall might look like. I want you to be comfortable with what it is that we're going to do if we're going to do anything at all. And in the end, it's always your decision to what we're going to do. So 15% off, as I said already, 15% off of the initial evaluation. It will expire at on the 9th, tomorrow. And I'm going to give you till 10 p.m. tomorrow to do so. So if you are going to take care of, if you're going to share this with somebody, share it and say, watch the video, but then contact him. Contact me. You can go ahead and private message me. You can also do it a couple different ways as well. If you go to our website, you can contact me on there as well. The website is SnyderFamilyChiro.com. It's SNYDER, family, CHIRO.com. Once you're on that page there, you will see that under the contact tab, there's a place of requesting an appointment. You can do it that way. You may also simply pick up the phone and call 610-935-5900. Again, 610-935-5900. Call us and we'll be happy to, once again, help you to schedule a time. If you mention that you watched this video, then you'll get the 15% off on that evaluation, okay? So, and if you're watching this, by the way, after the 9th and you're still gaining some good information from the video itself, If you're gaining good information, great. If you call up and say, I'd like to schedule an appointment, I'm happy to help you regardless. It's just that I think that immediate action deserves reward. So if you decide that you want to watch this video, that you watch the video and you say, okay, you know something, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the step now. This is January. My health is important. I want to move forward and restore my health. This would be a good time to act. I don't want to sell myself to you. I want to educate you to understand that there's an importance to making sure that you take care of your spine and your nervous system. If you want to know how people have found our care, by all means, go to our Google reviews on online on Google. Go onto our website and at least take a look at some of the video testimonials that people have left as well, provided us, so that way you can feel comfortable knowing that our office is a good place to come to. In the end, I want you to feel comfortable with being able to take care of yourself, and I want you to be comfortable in our facility, so that way you can be confident in continuing with the care process, and that's it. That's the whole goal, is to make sure that you are getting the proper care, and that you're taking care of your spine, taking care of your nervous system. It's what runs your entire body. Your nervous system controls everything. It runs through the spine. Pressure upon nerve can cause havoc, can wreak havoc on your body. Take care of your spine through your life. People, do it, okay? I didn't learn this till I was 22. So if you learn this at whatever point you're learning it, take care of your spine and you'll be better off for that, okay? So thanks for being here, watching. I'm going to sign off now. Have a great night. And if by chance you're watching it tonight and you're not at home yet, be careful on the roads. I hear that the roads are very slick tonight. And tomorrow morning probably will be the same thing. So I think my kids are very happy that they may have a 2-hour delay tomorrow. Anyway, have a good night, everybody. Okay, and I'll wait for you to contact me either for private message or by phone or through the website as well. Okay. All right. And again, if you need somebody that's not local to my office, contact me and I'll try to help you there too. Okay. All right. Bye bye.